Judge's Dreams 1, written by Juan Moisés de la Serna, narrated by Dave Currier, published by TekTime. The First Dream. The judge fell asleep, and some 3 hours later, when he woke up rested and with his mind clear of the heaviness of the day, he established visual contact with a scene that he was not familiar with, as if he was transferred to some other place where he could see and hear everything that was happening. A kind of presence where he could observe all the assistants in detail, while not physically there. It was the first time something like that has happened, and so he found himself fearful. In the beginning, he kept a distance from the people that he was watching and events that he was witnessing. But soon, he realized that this could only be a dream, and nothing could really happen. So he got mixing with the assistants, observing everything from different locations of the room, and when they did not detect his presence, he finally decided that, effectively, this was a dream, and that he could learn something from things he was seeing and hearing. He had no idea how he found himself in a great hall, presided by the king himself. Someone who looked just like him was sitting beside the king. He was so surprised that he exclaimed out loud, "What a strange dream! I see myself!" He knew that this reality was not physical, as well as that, in this dream, he continued being a judge. There were others just like him, also judges, as well as those who served as prosecution witnesses and those of the defense. There was also one who was presenting the case. He stated that the subject matter was the elders of the community. The one who seemed to be in charge, the current prosecutor, argued that they should be made to vanish, whilst the defense was saying that they were to be respected. And in the end, he himself, or the one who looked like him, had to pass his judgment to state his opinion. Once everything was over, the king, who was still present there, he was an observer, not a participant, made a decree upon this judgment. But all of this is better told in detail because it is important as the teachings then spread through some town. For clarity, I must tell you here, in this first chapter, that the judge saw himself as a living being, but rather than made of physical matter, he was made of energy, which made him undetectable to others. But to himself, his senses were intact, and he could move from one place to another, not walking, like the physical body, but rather thinking. Thoughts took him to where he wanted. It took a few attempts to learn to move this way because, usually, thinking bears no importance on the movement. So when what one thinks is suddenly fulfilled, one realizes the enormous capacity that a man has. The judge, while the speech was taking place, moved from one place to another, passed between the characters, listened to their words and thoughts, finding many things out. He felt himself a part of that physical world, but at the same time knew that it was all a dream that someone immensely powerful, someone superior, has sent upon him. The very first thing he wanted to find out was who it was that sent him these moving pictures, and to his amazement, he discovered that it was the highest himself. This is what he saw. In a large rotunda-shaped room with pillars on the sides, some chairs along a large table were placed. There were 5 armchairs. It all looked like a tribunal hearing, where he himself was the judge. He arrived before the other people entered. He saw armed guards and understood that someone important, as he soon had confirmed, would be present. Well-dressed people began to come in, wearing what I would call luxurious cloaks and elegant hats covering their heads. And, as the case was, 2 characters that entered last was the king and another one who looked like his minister of justice. Those noble lords sat down in their armchairs and gave way for those of lesser rank to enter. As they were entering, they were saluting and bowing their heads right from the bore. To the judge's astonishment, he saw himself among that group. Naturally, he realized that none of this was reality, for he was still asleep, but at the same time, he was in this room as if he were a spirit, present, seeing, and listening. They all took turns to stand and speak in front of the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?